So here's a quick rundown on slope. Slope in algebra is kind of an important concept because it comes into play later on when you learn pre-calc and calculus. But slope was always taught as it's the rise over the run, or change in x over change in y, and then we're given this formula. But just we'll look at a quick picture here. If I had an x and a y plane here, and suppose I pick, I don't know, some point down here, say -2, -2, and pick another point up here, say go right 4 and up 3. So I'm looking at a line that goes through these 2 points. So this is my line. So if I wanted to know the slope of this line, I could count the rise over the run. Okay, so I could start here, go from left to right. I would have to go up 5, and let's see, right 6. So my rise would be 5, and my run would be 6. So I could say that the slope is 5/6. And we know it's a positive slope because the line is pointing uphill. If the line goes downhill, remember that's a negative slope. So suppose I didn't have graph paper to graph this on. So what would I need to do? So let me show you how the formula here works. And we're back. So one of my points, call it point 1, was -2, -2. And I had another point, call it point 2, I think I graphed 4, 3. So if I wanted to find the slope of a line that went through those 2 points, because I don't always have graph paper, and they could be very large points that are not easy to graph. So I would use this formula that says y sub 1, y sub 2 rather, equals 3 minus y sub 1, which is -2. Be very careful. This negative sign is not the same as the negative that's in this formula. And that would be all over x sub 2, which is 4, minus x sub 1, which is -2. And again, notice I put parentheses here because it's different than the formula's minus sign. So it's minus a -2 from up here. So we would just go about simplifying this and reduce it if possible. But 5/6 is a way to calculate the slope of a line between any 2 points. So it doesn't matter where the points are located. It doesn't matter where they whether they have positives or negatives. If we use this formula, we'll always get the right answer. So let me give you another one. So here we have 2 more points. If you want to, a lot of times when students are first learning this, if they're struggling, I have them just write down that this is, well, let me write a neater y than that. This is x sub 1, y sub 1 that goes with point 1, and then point 2 is the coordinates x sub 2, y sub 2 that are used in this formula. Now you have to be very careful when you set this up to make sure that if you're doing y sub 2 minus y sub 1, that you're also doing x sub 2 minus x sub 1. You can't go different directions with them or you won't get the right answer. So y sub 2 is -1 minus y sub 2, or I'm sorry, y sub 1, which is 2, all over x sub 2, which is 7, minus x sub 1, which is a -3. So -1 minus 3, -1 minus 2 is -3. So there's our numerator. And in the denominator, I have 7 minus a -3, which gives me a 10. So feel free to use a calculator on those. Sometimes the negative signs can be tricky, but I think you can figure it out. So this one has a slope of -3/10. So that means, keep in mind, if I were to plot these points, draw a small one, I'd have like -3, 2 is up here somewhere, and 7, -1 is down here somewhere. So if I connected those points, I see that I do have a line that goes downhill. So that's a negative slope. So that's what the -3/10 takes into account. So rise over run would be rise -3, run 10. So if you did have graph paper and you wanted to draw this is called a slope triangle. All right. Okay, thanks again for tuning in and for being patient with me as I learn the ins and outs of this light board. But I'm going to get it down. So thanks again. That was slope. If the content was still good for you, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one.